Hello, I'm Bill Dunkley. Today is Saturday, August 19th, 2023, and this is the Dunkley Report. Residents have heeded warnings to evacuate the capital of Canada's Northwest Territories as a wildfire burns just miles outside the city of 20,000. Meanwhile, a wildfire set homes ablaze in a city in British Columbia. Officials say over 19,000 people had left Yellowknife by Friday evening, most of them by road in long convoys, and the others on emergency flights to neighboring Alberta. Authorities said the wildfire was within 9 miles of the city. Hundreds of miles south, homes were burning in West Kelowna, British Columbia. Residents there have been ordered to evacuate 2,400 properties, while 4,800 other properties are on alert. The town's fire chief says the wildfire grew exponentially worse overnight. Iran's foreign minister has met with Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as part of his visit to the kingdom, a sign of how the two countries are trying to ease tensions after years of turmoil. Saudi state television aired images of Prince Mohammed sitting with Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian in the Red Sea port city of Jeddah. The state-run Saudi press agency offered few substantive details of their conversation, saying merely that they reviewed relations and future opportunities for cooperation. Amir-Abdollahian wrote online that the talks lasted for 90 minutes and were honest, open, useful, and fruitful. A neonatal nurse in a British hospital has been found guilty of murdering 7 babies and trying to kill 6 others during a year-long campaign of deception when she preyed on the vulnerabilities of premature and sick newborns as well as their anxious parents. Following 22 days of deliberation, the jury at Manchester Crown Court on Friday convicted 33-year-old Lucy Letby of killing the babies in the neonatal unit at the Countess of Chester Hospital in northwest England between 2015 and 2016. Letby was accused of injecting air into infants' bloodstreams and administering air or milk into their stomachs via nasogastric tubes, as well as adding insulin to intravenous feeds and interfering with breathing tubes. President Joe Biden and the leaders of Japan and South Korea have agreed to expand security and economic ties at a historic summit Friday at the U.S. presidential retreat of Camp David. Their meeting and their agreement come at a time that the three countries are on an increasingly tense ledge in their relations with China and North Korea. Biden says the three countries will establish a hotline to discuss responses to threats. He announced the agreements, including what they have termed the Camp David Principles, at the close of his talks with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says in Chile that it is imperative for the United States to declassify documents that could shed light on its involvement in the South American country's 1973 coup. She said U.S. transparency could be an opportunity for a new phase in the relationship between the United States and Chile. She spoke in a video posted Thursday on Instagram alongside Camila Vallejo, the spokesperson for the left-leaning government of Chile's President Gabriel Boric. The Democratic Congresswoman from New York is part of a delegation of lawmakers who traveled to Chile ahead of the 50th anniversary of the coup against President Salvador Allende on September 11, 1973. An official of the West African bloc of nations says 11 countries in the region have agreed to commit troops to a military deployment aimed at restoring Niger's democratically elected president following last month's coup. The ECOWAS bloc previously announced its intention to deploy a force to reinstate President Mohamed Bazoum, who has been under house arrest since he was overthrown by members of the Presidential Guard July 26th. But the 15-member bloc had not detailed which countries would join, nor has it said when the force might enter Niger. On Friday, the ECOWAS Commissioner for Peace and Security, Abdel Fattah Musa, said 11 countries have committed to the deployment. The fires that broke out on Maui last week have exacerbated Hawaii's housing crisis, as more than 3,000 buildings in Lahaina were damaged or destroyed, leaving many wondering if homeowners can afford to rebuild. Climate gentrification, the concept that changes in housing markets occur after extreme weather events, can result in new, expensive developments that make the area more tourist-friendly and can exclude local people. Experts note this has happened in U.S. regions affected by climate-related events, including New Orleans, Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina, and Paradise, California after the 2018 Camp Fire. The U.S. is making precautionary plans to evacuate 2 key drone and counter-terror bases in Niger if that becomes necessary under the West African nation's new ruling junta. That word came Friday from the Air Force Commander for Africa, General James Hecker. The Air Force general stressed to reporters in Washington that there had been no U.S. decision to evacuate Niger, which has been the United States' top counter-terror outpost in West Africa's Sahara and Sahel regions. A July 26th coup there overthrew the country's democratically elected president. North Korea appears to have sent its first delegation abroad since it closed its borders in early 2020 at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. A group of North Korean Taekwondo athletes and officials were in Beijing's airport on Friday. Japanese and South Korean media said the group is expected to travel to Kazakhstan to compete at the Taekwondo World Championships. North Korea has extremely limited air connections at the best of times, and international travel all but ended when it closed its borders to prevent the spread of COVID-19. How badly North Koreans were affected by COVID-19 is unknown. The country lacks most basic health care, and its people are prevented from sharing information with the outside world. Officials say the United States has given its approval for the Netherlands and Denmark to deliver F-16S to Ukraine. The defense ministers of those 2 NATO countries announced the decision Friday. It is a major gain for Kiev, even though the fighter jets won't have an impact anytime soon on the almost 18-month war. It was not immediately clear when the first F-16S might enter the conflict. Denmark says it will hand over some of its F-16S only after receiving its new F-35 jet fighters, which are due to start arriving on October 1st. Officials have previously said that Ukrainian pilots will need 6 to 8 months of training on the F-16S. This has been the World News for Saturday, August 19th, 2022. Thanks again for joining us at The Dunkley Report.